Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig, a Mad River Outfitters in the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools. We are here at the Slide Inn at the legendary table of Kelly Galloup. Legendary. And we're here with the man himself. And
welcome back.
What I really wanted to see was a Swimmin' Jimmy in the chartreuse and orange color.
Give it up. Give it up. I've done it once.
I mean,
no.
Please.
No.
Well, then my second favorite fly, Swimmin' Jimmy or Swimmy Jimmy, I think you call it.
Swimmy Jimmy.
No, it's wrong. It's a Swimmin' Jimmy.
Okay. Swimming.
Have you heard about the Jim and Swimmy?
No.
You just tie the Swimmin' Jimmy on by the back hook, and it swims backwards, and they really think it's.
How's that hook set doing? Thanks for a good hook set.
Okay, my second favorite fly is the belly bumper.
Is there?
No question. And it's still amazing to me how many people don't know about the belly bumper. So, and I know you've done this before on your channel, but I'm a busy guy. I don't get a chance to watch all your videos, and you talk a lot.
That hurts a lot. That really hurts me.
Does it really?
I thought you watched all of them.
But
I've never seen one actually. Myself.
I've never seen one of mine. So.
Yeah. Yes.
I would really like to see the belly bumper, if you don't mind.
Got it right here.
And it doesn't have to be overly intricate. I just want an idea, because I'll put my own spin on it, of course. And
that's really, you know, when I do my videos, a lot of times I tell people, I'm always like, people think I'm being, I don't know, goofy, that I just said, try it, do something. Your own spin, just like you do your swimmies and like you do everybody. Like this is a bluegill that's kind of crushed, and you know, this thing for bass, I mean, you're in warm water world and you got both, but I think the profile of this fly, one, it's super simple, right? And which I really love simple flies, and I think we've lost a lot of the single hook thing in the last 5, 6, 10 years, I don't know. And so this thing can be adapted down to anything that big. I mean, it's just super versatile, super simple to tie, and I'll go through it quick, so we don't want to be here all night. And I'm gonna, as I go along, I'll do like I always do. I'm gonna say, you can add this, you can add that, and people get way too locked into recipes, man. It stifles your creativity. You know, I don't have that. Good, put something else in it, and you never know. And it's just like I do it with synthetic heads. I've seen cats do it with hair heads. I've seen them do it with everything imaginable. And so I'll just, the key to this fly, and this is my version of the Keel Hook.
which, by the way, it is one of the best bass flies.
Oh, I can imagine.
Bass, smallmouth.
I can honestly say I've never fished it for a bass.
Up on Lake Erie. We've been fishing Lake Erie a lot. That thing is just absolutely deadly on almost all Lake Erie fish. It doesn't matter.
When you look at it, I mean, when I first did the TNA bunkers, I basically just copied that on a single hook, and I wanted a Keel Hook. And those were done for alewives and, you know, shad of any sort. And so it just throws profile like that. That's why it's so easy to change it to anything you want. So, I mean, adapt it to anything. So, and I'll just go through the basics on it. I've already set my feathers up, by the way, and this is a commercial tie. But a lot of the key to this thing is that it's going to it doesn't slim down a lot. It's going to carry pretty much its whole thing. And one of the things I think they really dig about it's that eye. And a lot of people play the eyes down. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on, I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on the eye, super target, right? So I'll just go through this as I go. And one of the things about this fly is and this is up to you when you tie your own, if you want to throw some lead on here, that it pretty much guarantees that the fly will keel down with its belly down. Right, and because the belly's on the bottom, the belly bumper, by the way, Jeremy invented that word. He's the one that came up with that name.
Can you talk about that hook for just a second? Because
sure.
I love that hook.
The hook is, hold on one second. We'll leave that kind of sloppy here. I'm just going to I'm putting about 25 turns of 025 on here so you can see. But over here somewhere, Don't be looking in these drawers either. There are some originals. This is an original Keel Hook. This was done, Bing McClellan from Burt Flechsig in Traverse City produced this hook. I'm not sure if he or Dick Popes was I think Bing was the guy that did it, and he's the one that marketed it. And it's just a smaller, if you look at mine, it's just a smaller version. I lengthened this part up longer, simply so we could get a bigger, longer head. And on my Stack Blonde was originally done on this hook. And it was the first name that really had any sexual innuendo. And it really had nothing to do with that, frankly. I was trying to copy Walt Grau, who I personally think is one of the most innovative. He's a Midwest guy, you know, Permarket guy. Walt tied this fly. I have got the original behind us. And he stacked hair on it trying to do a Fire Tiger plug. And so this, all I did was make it bigger. I gapped it out bigger, made this longer, simply so I could get bigger head on my blondes, which is just bucktail. It worked fine. But when I wanted it bigger, so I added that.
And what about the eye? The eye is not...
The eye's vertical. The original ones were wherever it went. The originals were horizontal.
Yeah.
So it's just the opposite. And that was just a matter of making sure it keeled the way it's supposed to. And, you know.
I think, am I wrong? I think it provides an amazing action to the fly.
Oh, I think it, especially loop them. When you loop that thing, it really...
Yeah.
So, again, yes, sir.
Your left shoulder, or your right shoulder.
Getting yelled at by people around here. All right, so I'm wrapping over top this as usual. Devin, Brian's guy here, is yelling instructions. It's not the usual Johnny or Jeremy yelling at me. Seems to be universal though. We're shooting sideways so that you can see how we tie it.
What thread are you using?
This is GSP 100.
Okay.
And so, and it doesn't really, anything that's, you know, if it's a strong thread, the big thing, Harley invasion, the big thing is that it's got to be strong enough to reef down on this thing, on your head, just a little. And I'm using MFC, just, you know, a sparkle brush. It's pre-made, so it's just really fast on these things. And I like to do this just so I can see. It helps cover this up, and so I'm going to lay this on top. You're not going to be able to see this. And I kind of go loose around here. It's just, this is the part you'll actually see when we flip it. When we get tying it, I'll flip it upside down. And you don't have to, and just get a nice secure. And what you're seeing is it's already setting a color inside there. On some of them, I actually go in and I color this stuff with a, like Flashaboo or something like that. But you don't really need to get that out of the way. Do you want that out of there? Put it over here. So when you wrap this stuff, a couple things. Is that out of your frame there, my shoulder?
Yeah, I go a little more to the left.
I can't help my massive shoulders. Just ask Matt Sapinski. So watch what I'm doing here. Yeah, he's a great guy. So here we go. We're gonna lay this back. I don't want it all over here because I'll show you. I'll just keep going forward. You don't have to be really tight on your turns. Now here, right there, I'm starting to not, I haven't pulled it back like you do a dubbing loop like this. I just left it random. If I do that, it's going to trap those hairs. I want everyone out and really open, so you keep it, just fold it back and leave them kind of open. Don't worry if you can see through there a little bit. Once that gets wet, you won't see any, it'll just all lay back. So I'm going to take it right up to about where that bend is. And a lot of these flies, right here. And so now I've got this really puffy body, right? I'm going to take that 2 over and I'm going to fold it back. And you know, you can break that or you can cut it. It's wire. So I folded it over and got a turn over top of it and just set it. So it'll never come undone, right? Nice and tight.
And you went down to the bottom of the bend?
Just about to the bend, yeah. Okay. I'm going to tie right over that.
Okay.
Because I got to put some bucktail on it.
Got it.
And we're going to do, but I like to, like on this one, and this is just, you know, your own flair. You know, you throw, I love yellow in my flies, right? If you want to throw a turn or two of the same thing right there, Don't care what fly it is. You see, and your small, your juvenile bass, which is and perch, all throw, for the sake of getting it done, I'm not going to put it in. But if you did 2 turns of yellow right here, and you look just so that's just in there, right? So you just barely have this hint. It just is a really, we'll do it. It's a really nice accent. So I'm going to pull this, I'll just put one in here. And I want you to think about every juvenile freshwater fish, and, you know, bass, perch, bluegills. There's always, I'm going to fold this back. So there's 1 turn. I just went around the back, fold it back, 2 turns. That's all I'm going to put in it. But if you look at your perch, your bluegill, your bass, for that matter, your trout, there's always this hint. You'll see this hint of yellow in your fly. And if you fish this for brown trout love yellow. I put yellow in virtually every one of my trout flies. So here we are now. I've got the belly, I've got the bottom on there. I'm going to turn this upside down because this is where it's easier to work from the bottom up now. So we're right back where we were. Just kind of clean this up. Make sure you leave plenty of room to, and I'm right here. What do I do with all them bucktails? I'm going to grab a little bucktail. And basically, when you look at any, I don't care what fly it is, what minnow, I mean, they're almost every fly or every predatory fish triggers on smaller fish, and all your prey items have a pearl belly. If you can find me a fish that doesn't, I want to know what it is. And that's one of the keys to this fly, is you've got this really pearly white belly down underneath, and it's always riding down. Any fish worth catching is an ambush fish, so it means it's always looking up. All your bass, all your trout, they're all looking up, and so we're gonna build this profile immediately into it. And we don't have any weight yet other than that. And the little bit of weight I put on there has nothing to do with sinking this fly. It's simply there to keel the fly belly down, because I think it's that important to keep that thing's belly showing to your fish, because I don't care what it is, pike, bass, muskie, trout, I don't care. Bluegill, they're all looking up to ambush. And so build that into your fly and make it light. You know, if we get a chance, we can talk about sinking lines here one of these days. And a lot of my flies are designed to be lighter than, I don't like to build the weight into the fly. I like to let the lines do it. But so if you always, you know, when you look, you don't need a sample to sit here like this. All you need to do is have, you know, see a photo, see the fly once, and you just build off of what you see. So, and I'm going to put, you know, it's important when you build this fly, because I'm going to have bucktail and I'm going to have a wing. And I want the bucktail to be shorter than the wing. So just as a building your fly thing, I don't want it to stick past here. So, and it's really, this is really more to hold the feathers on each side of the wing, or each side of the hook.
Like a stiffener.
Yeah, just something to keep it from getting caught around it. And like with all non-compressible hair, I'm sure people will get sick of me harping this, but I'll cut that to the camera. I hope my shoulder's not in it. So I cut it at a 45. Shortest hair's on the bottom, so you can see it's at a pretty radical angle. Okay. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to just hit it once. And in the camera, in the close-up, you'll be able to see I set it 1, 2, and making sure it's tight, centered. And then I'm going to build this and I'm going to pull really tight, right? And so, by the way, I just realized, and I'm tightening that down, and I'm going to really reef on that. So it's, and the compression is the highest on the bottom. This is going to have virtually no build on top. And I want you to know I've done all of this without my glasses on. You have yours on. And so then I'm going to show you underneath here that there's builds of colors in here, right? So there's yellow, there's some dark color, and then these feather sets are getting kind of chewed up here. They're going to be, this is just shine. And a lot of my flies, I build the shine into it, but I don't have it like that, right? I want it, most of your stuff that's prey, that's running, doesn't shine all the time. It just shines a little. So I like it to kick out now and then. I don't like it to be just constantly, you know, really, really flashy. So this is just ice wing. I've cut this down. I'm going to fold this over. It's pretty long. And I don't want a ton of it. I'm going to have twice this much because I'm going to fold it over. So I'm simply going to take this, bend it in half, come forward just a little bit, and I'm going to catch it. So that just catches everything on the top. And don't worry about this stuff being, and see there's a little bump right here. I encourage that bump to right there. That's where I folded this stuff over. You know, I fold it, see that little tiny bump? I fold it over and I tie it off right there. And what that does is it's impossible for it to unravel. This stuff's really slick. Don't worry about this stuff right now. Leave it there. We'll put the other one on. We'll come in and we'll clip that. And then I'm going to just put a dark accent color in there. This one's not as long. So, and this is, I don't care what you use. You know, if you want to throw some fire tiger, green, black minnowback, purple. I love purple in these flies. This is not what a lot of people think in my videos that I have a, can we say booger in there? It's
no,
not,
is that a wart?
Yeah, it's not a wart, it's not a booger. It's wax that I learned from watching Davey Watton. It was hilarious. I was doing a video and I love that guy, right? And so
one of the greatest fly tires of all time.
Oh my God, he's a freak show. Everything, you know, somebody wrote in and said, materials seem to be at his command. I'm like, no, shit. And so, he had the wax in there. I said, I should try that. I had it on the wrong finger. And I'm sitting like, this is worthless. And somebody wrote, goes, wrong finger, dude. I go, oh, crap.
You know, so, he's a halfway decent banjo player.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I hear he's an incredible banjo player.
Yeah. Yeah, he and I have.
You're a musician. I'm not.
He and I have done some stuff.
I'm gonna fold that. I'm gonna put a little purple in here.
Nice.
I dig purple. Same thing. Right over top. It got a little bit. Just.
I dig purple. There's our new T-shirt.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a joke there, but I can't tell. So now I'm going to give it just an accent. And again, all this stuff's getting covered. I mean, as usual, like I say in all my videos, if I wasn't running my mouth, but that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to coat that just a little, because this is kind of, you're a bass guy, and bass eat bass, and bass eat perch. And so I've kind of laid this out, so any color in here, it's all going to be behind the wing anyway. So I'm laying this in just for layers. And this one, I don't have the room, the length of the material. So I'm going to tie that in up and come in. I'm going to start securing that down, and I'll get behind that hump. Now I'm kind of pinching it, kind of locking it behind that little tiny bulb that I made the first time. Copy?
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm just going to clean this up just a touch. Bring my thread all the way forward. I like to wrap on thread all the way back. We got this right here. Now we're going to take these presets. Everything's fine here. Now we can come in and just on a long angle, just kind of trim that out. Double check. This is where you get the chance to make sure it's not too long. So if it's too long, cut some off. Okay, and I've already pre-glued these feathers. I took an American saddle, just green American saddle, and some other grizzly dyed kind of greenish colored feather. Whatever you like. I mean, these are using grizzly dry fly hackle. These are grizzly schlappen, are the ones I set. And what I did was I simply, and I've done tutorials on that, where you lay the feather down, take a little of this tear mender. I think this stuff's indispensable at a fly tying table. Just put a little tiny, take your bodkin and just put a little tiny bit of glue on the bottom feather, set that one on top, dab it down, good to go. Never, you don't have to, it'll never, ever come off of there. What I did fail to do is check, got kind of lucky, there's pretty close to the same length. I didn't do that when we were setting them up there talking. So I'm going to put these on right on top of the hook. I'm going to come slightly forward of that bump. I'm simply going to put 1, 2 turns, make sure that it's sitting. When you look at these feathers, make sure, I doubt you can even see that in the close-up. You might. Make sure they're sideways. Drives me crazy. Make sure they're flat. I don't know if you can even see that, but they're right beside each other, not twisted. Because if they're twisted over the top of that, it's going to fight you. And then, like I push that, and I push that one hackle over. Just nice and easy. You don't have to, no pressure yet. Just set it here. You're going to manipulate this with your other feather and just getting it started. If you don't like it, back it off. That is the thing that people don't do. They never want to turn a hackle back or turn a wrap backwards. If it's not right, stop. Just don't move forward.
Back off, do it right.
Yep. And if you want to, which I'm going to do how I normally do, I was just showing you how we set them. I usually set these things right together because it's going to have quite a bit of build up in it. And if you want to just for the sake of speed, make sure they're the same length or roughly thereabouts, which I failed to do. And this is where I am having trouble seeing this thing. So for just a second, can't see that hook. Did pretty good to get that far, to tell you the truth. So now I'm going to set these and make sure that you're on both sides of the materials, that your feather sets. You know, get your feather back here. Make sure this is on top. We're tying kind of crooked, like everything's shifted this way. And I didn't look and I didn't say it, but make sure if there's something crooked, grab it right now. Make sure things are straight. You're looking down over top of this, you should have virtually no build. And on this close-up, you can see everything's on top and there's virtually no build to this thing. So take this, I'll put them on separate just so, get it on the top. Usually I set these together just because I don't really tighten things down. I leave it so it's nice and flush, and we're going to marry these two around that feather, and they're the same thing, same length. And I'm going to I'm not putting any pressure on here at all. I want that on the other side of the hook. Okay, and so I'm going to just make sure they're kind of laying there, and I'm just nice and easy going down this feather. Nice even wraps, you know, not really super tight, not so much that it would spin the hackle around the hook, right? And then just the closer I get, then the tighter I get, and you can actually just about break those off, but we'll clip them. And then the fun part of this fly, and this, I love doing this. I've done this forever. My original articulated fly was not the dungeon like everybody thinks it is. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to get right to, I don't want to go all the way back here. I'm going to cut what's left of this hook, right? This part of the hook right here. I'm going to cut that in thirds. And that's where, and so you don't have to go back over this feather any more than it is. And I'm going to cut it in thirds, and there's going to be one come forward, and the next third forward, and we're going to do the head out of this synthetic.
How much is left there?
Huh? Well, the whole
half an inch.
Yeah, about a half. Not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you took the whole thing, yes. But I'm not worried about this white spot because I'm going to put this in, set my eye right there, and so. But I'm going to have this buildup of material, so I'm going to do Senyos. You know, I hardly ever tied with synthetics until this stuff came along. As far as heads, I always use wool. Mm-hmm. I'm totally lost to this stuff now. The colors, you know Greg, don't you?
I do, yeah. Greg's a good friend. And
I mean, this stuff is, I'm lost without it. And you don't need a lot of this. And I'm going to do it in 2 parts here. And if you wanted to, you could also put a little tiny layer of yellow right here, which on that one I've got a little. We'll do it just because it's your bass fly.
Let's do it.
I'm
going to fish this fly if you'll give it to me. Yeah.
I don't know about that, but give me this.
Put it on my tab.
Put it on the tab, yeah. I'm just going to give it a little bit right there, and I do all these the same. I did that kind of fast, and we'll trim this out to how you want. We'll just follow that step. We'll do that in a minute. So I like to put the belly on first, and the thing about when you work with this hair or this synthetic, I mean, is I like to grab it in the middle and pull on each end. So it's going to be different lengths. You kind of strand it out so you get, so it's all basically one length when you get it stranded, and you can pull in the middle and it's not going anywhere. And that's how you know you've got enough. If a bunch of them are short and you pull on this side, it'll come off, it'll be off in your hand. Like up here, they're going to fall. So you just put it back in the middle, that'll become very obvious when you do it. So I'm going to take this stuff and we're going to fold it, and you're going to bend it across the thread. And this is the cool part. Yeah. You bend it into a, get a kind of a U in there. You can bring it and set it wherever you want. You want to put it on the side, hallelujah. You want to put it right there. You just hold it nice and tight, and it's right here. And then it's going to then come back and give it 2 really tight ones. You don't really have to go crazy here. And this is Davey McFeel. When you use GSP thread, if you do that 2 turns with that wax, it'll lock in. If you're using GSP thread and you don't use wax, there's no stretch to it. So if you lighten up, it'll back off. So you got to be careful. So now I'm going to take the green.
So let's go back. You folded that over, and you just set it in place. You took a couple of turns.
Yep. Done.
And then you waxed.
Well, it'd be better if you waxed it before that. Like right now.
Okay.
But it's easier. It's hard to slide this down, but all I need is just a little touch of wax right there. It's about 100 degrees in here, so it's coming off of it's just running around. So I'm going to fold it, and that close-up I'm sure will catch that U. See how that's making a U shape?
Yeah.
And you just bring it in right over top of it, right? And hold it in place. Get 1 turn, 2 turns, fold it out, and then this is where the wax comes in. You just reef on it like that. Okay, now we move forward to the next third. Make sure right now, before you go anywhere, that this is built up enough for your liking, because you want it to fold back. Where's that commercial one? You want it to fold. This one's a little shorter than I like mine, right? I like that to fold back into the body just enough so it looks homogeneous, like it's a head. I don't like gaps in there. Copy?
Yeah.
Copy. Okay.
Well,
it's super simple.
That was worth the price of admission.
It's super easy. And now kind of check with just flare a little of this out, just so when you build them, you want to know that it's big enough. If you need a little extra here to fill in, like you've made that light, put just a little bit, it'll come to you. You'll build a few of them, you say, it was too thin there. It's just about right. It's my fly, it has to be right. I'm tying it. I could just say it was supposed to be right. I just don't want to see through it, but I don't want it so thick that it makes the fly go like this. And the only way I'll know that is to tie a few and fish them. And so, but it looks, pretty much you want even pieces as the front and back. So now we just duplicate. I'm going to take a little bit of wax there, fold this over, get back there. And now we want to so here's the whole hook. There's the 1/3, there's the 2nd third. Fold that over, bring it in, just lock it in right there. And it's going to move forward. So I got 2 turns. It's going to move forward. Even when it's wet, you're going to cut this off. It'll have a perfect shape. And now, sounds like we're in a city. There's cars going by. That doesn't happen very often after dark around here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing here. Just kind of looking it over. I'm going to fold this in half. And always keep the back one a little longer. And I'm going to come in right above the 1/3 mark. I'm holding it nice and tight.
Yep.
Doesn't move anywhere. Finish it off. Okay. And now, bingo. Now this is the fun part. So, again, you weren't chatting. This would be a really fast tie. So you can really build a box with these things. And this one's supposed to be more bassish, so I've got it kind of, that's actually, after I put that feather in, I don't really like how heavy this feather looks, this outside feather. And because I use a lot of standard grizzlies and light colors, that's a little thick for me, but it'll be fine for bass. It's supposed to look like a juvenile bass, so.
Yeah, it's fine for bass.
It'll be. So the key to these heads and any of these not having the eyes fall off is that you work, that right now you can see all the thread, right? See all that? And that's why we weren't really concerned about this. And on both sides, make sure, take your time right now and look over the top, don't put your shoulder in the look over the top, make sure everything's pulled down. If there's a gob somewhere, if you got a really big gob and you can't see your thread, come in here and just cut that out. Just a little bit at a time. Don't do anything radical with this stuff. It just doesn't grow back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So just look, and that's, you know, it's a little, just a little, you can see everything, a little puffy, pull on it. Make sure whenever you pull on it, pull equal like that. So you just grab right in the middle, and it won't pull a chunk of it out. You should have it pretty well anchored. So, and now I'm going to take these, I like big eyes on these things. And you've watched me do this before, but if you've got a real pupil on these things, right? Hello. And it's an old joke, but right there. So if you've got a pupil on it, set both pupils to the right. And I'm sure you can see that right here. And so pupil to the right. When you put this glue on, you don't want to be messing around, right? You want to put the glue on and be done with it. If these things have too much stick-em to it, and there's no way to tell you, if you do a set and they don't stick, it's because you had too much of that adhesive. I don't know why they put that crap on there in the first place, but and just so it can stick in the package and you can see them.
Probably.
But a little bit of just, you know, they should stick to your hand. I always use Zap. A lot of people tie these things and use tear mender. The very first articulated fly was that TNA I did for an alewife in the Great Lakes, was the TNA bunker. And it was the same thing, and I used this glue then. I've just done it forever. Doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. I know a lot of these guys, I know Strolis and Schmitty, I know they both use tear mender a lot, Bramer does. A lot of these guys, I'm just comfortable with the Zap. If you don't dig it, and I like the traditional set. I don't like the super fast stuff. So I'm going to set this eye, and I do the back side first, and I tend to go in. I'm not setting it. I'm just showing you where I put it. Basically, I put it right here so it covers up anything, and I come in, and I always do the same thing. I do this first drop. I just make sure it's flat, and remember, this is a 7.5 millimeter eye, so don't put more than 7.5 millimeters of glue on, because you will stick to the fly. So I'm going to come in here right in the center, if the glue will go. Oh. And I'm going to just dab that around just enough so it starts to go through. And so what I'm trying to do is about 3 millimeters of glue so I don't ever stick myself to the fly. So I'm going to set that right on the side. And you got a little bit of time right now. So I want it back just a little bit. You got a little bit of time just to set. We don't really worry about this one yet. And making sure I don't have, what really happens if you're sloppy and you rush this is you'll get the glue out on these little fibers, and that's what sticks to you. So now we're going to go directly across from that, and the key here is to put little drops. I'm not putting one big drop on because that migrates out to the side. So I'm going to put 2 or 3 drops, small drops, so they go through. Ideally, it's going to go all the way through to the other side, and boom. And then we're going to, our eyes are forward, and we're going to set that, and we're going to look, feel. You can kind of look and feel, make sure they're identical. And then when you squeeze these, if you do it a little bit, you'll know right away if you're going to stick. You know, if you got, and if you do, you know, people tell you to lick your fingers, which is okay, it's a little bit, but liquid isn't it's an what do you call it, accelerator to this glue. Like if you're working with Zap-A-Gat and you spit on it, it'll just kick. So you don't really want to have wet hands so much. You want to do it right if you can. And I just squeeze them and I feel heat. In the old days, I used doll eyes. Those little white, you know?
Yeah.
I love those things. They rattled a little bit. They were cool looking.
We still sell them, but nobody buys them.
I put them on my TNA still. Yeah. I do. I
do.
Still do the old-fashioned doll eyes. Yep. I got thousands of them back there.
No, I still use them on bass bugs.
Yeah, they're great. They make a little rattle. If you do it this way, when you do that thing, they'll actually glue the plastics, and you cannot get them apart. Yeah. And this eye is never going to come off anyway. So now they're glued to each other, and this is the fun part of the whole fly is you stand it up, get it straight up and down, close as you can. You know, everybody has their own style to do this, and you can pick it out as much as you want right now. And then what I do with mine is I simply go straight up. Wrong scissors. There's the old. They even say old, and I still used them. So straight up, right up the front. Nice flat cut like this. Kind of messed him up a little bit with those dull scissors. So straight up, so you get a flat nose right in front of the eye, and then just come over the top. I do the bottom first, I don't know why. You can do whatever you want. And I just kind of do a, that's going to be in there. I'm going to try to stay out of it. I just kind of go and make a round cut to follow that belly. All right, knowing that when your stuff gets wet, it's going to lay down a little bit, but I want it to, I'm going to start with it big. Don't go for the gusto yet. And then do the same thing here. Just kind of come in and taper into your body and look, just watch it to see if it's building where you want. Right? It's got too much forehead here. I'm just going to round that in, and I'm going to kind of just do the same thing here. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera there. I'm just building the shape that I'm looking for out of this fly. You know this is going to get wet and it's going to lay down, you know, so kind of pull on your feather a little bit and it'll all lay into itself just like that. And then bingo. Looks good. And there. And then the thing that really pisses big brown trout off is just cut a smile into their face. Nice. You don't get that everywhere.
Nice.
There. Yes. It's a smiling bass catcher. Voila. That's it. Super simple.
Wow.
I mean, that thing, and like I said, you know, you can see how it's got this super, I tried to make it kind of fat, like a little bass, right? I mean, you catch a big bass, and I mean, if you don't have a ton of shad, it'll puke up a baby bass anytime, if they're spring fish, you know? And so I kept this kind of fat. If it's, you know, whatever you want to do with it, if you want it to be thinner, just, this feather was, I made this really fat up here. Just scale it down. This one's got an accent in it that's, mostly it's supposed to be the hair above it, but it's just, you know, whatever you dig. And then, you know,
I mean, it could be bass, could be shad. You could make a perch.
You can do it.
Version of it. Bluegill. I'm going home and
yellow with grizzly over the top of it.
Yeah, I'm going home tying a bluegill version.
I don't have it. I mean, I do a lot of these sets early. I don't know. I think I'm all out of them. Of the perch one. You know, when I lived in Michigan, when I was still mounting a lot of fish, and I would autopsy those fish. You don't autopsy them. You do a post-mortem observation. Just so you know, because somebody corrected me at a seminar once. And so they don't do that.
I would have corrected.
Yeah, you only do that on people, and it's necropsy. And the next place I went, the guy goes, well, that's not really true either. Do you have lives? And he says, it's really a post-mortem observation if it's on a fish, whatever. So on that post-mortem observation, in the Great Lakes region, lakes and rivers, the number 2 thing I found in trout, perch. I found perch in fish that were above any source that it could get to a warm water situation. Like the manistee and the flies only. Every fish in that zone, I found perch in their bellies. On the Boardman, every fish I ever mounted had a perch in its belly. And you know, I've never caught one, but yet they all had them.
Well,
so.
and we think of fire tiger for muskie and for pike and for bass and wow, that's
Walt Grau's original fire tiger stacked blonde, which I basically stole from him. Didn't know it. I found the fly 10 years later. You know, I found the original, and it was a perch.
Wow.
I mean, so I don't know. Maybe it's just the color. Maybe it's the barring. This one's kind of dark, but it'll catch a fish. I think you can figure it out. But that's the
well, it's so easy, and I've played around with it. I've tried it. I've played around with those hooks, but I was just not exactly sure on the proportion of where everything went on the hook. But that's
it's pretty. You know, it'll fish. I was looking for one of those belly bumper crawls. The other thing you can do with these hooks, what I do with that? I'll grab that other. Here's one. You take the smaller one. This is a regular keel, but you take this same style. Not that one. She gone. You can take this and you simply put a bead, what we do is we put the bead right here on the bottom. And then you do a crayfish pattern, and it bounces, and it's a belly bumper cray. It will not flip. It's weedless. It sits upside down, and it's super. I've got them. Hold on. This is the version of the same thing in miniature, because these hooks come down really skinny, but it's just another adaptation to. It's a fun thing to work with, right? You put a bead on the bottom, and the thing drags because it's down here on the belly, and it's just, there's nothing to these flies, right? And it's just a little crayfish. It's half the size, obviously, but it's a simple adaptation of the fly. And straight up bucktails without all the head, super simple. But you like this version, so we tell you that one.
I do.
Dog bark.
Well,
appreciate it.
Can't thank you enough, man.
Always.
That's
Always fun.
I've been wanting to see that fly tied in person. And,
It's pretty simple, don't you think?
It is. It's easy, and I'll be much better at tying it now. And
when you look at it, when you first see it, a lot of people think it's complicated. I don't know why.
well, I did. I'll admit it. I thought it was complicated. I played around a few times, and I couldn't quite figure out the proportions and where stuff went. And I've never been good at this. But seeing that in person,
so easy.
it's so easy.
It is.
Yep.
I mean, and probably one of the number one things I get when people respond when they use that send you ahead style.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
Yeah.
that's so easy. And it really,
No.
you can't screw it up. I mean, if you put 3 in, whatever, it's just, you can't screw it up. But I would tell you that if you put too much in, I mean, this is pretty close to where it's supposed to be. If you put too much in, you can make your fly do this, especially if the bottom of your fly is too thick.
Yeah.
But you can clip that on the river or the pond or whatever, whenever you want. And like I said, you put the lead in, it's almost impossible to make it tip over.
Well, as always, we appreciate it, Kelly.
No worries, man.
So,
Thanks.
friends, thanks for tuning in. A real pleasure to have Kelly here on our channel. Be sure to check out the Slide In and Kelly's YouTube channel, where you can see hundreds, maybe thousands, and potentially, eventually millions of fly
I'll
patterns.
be long dead by then.
Okay. Okay, maybe hundreds.
Maybe hundreds?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Of fly patterns. Of course, one of the greatest fly designers of all time. Hundreds of fly patterns he will teach you on his YouTube channel, as well as tons and tons of other stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the like button, because Kelly's pretty mean, actually, and if you hit the dislike button, he may come and find you.
The old days.
Yeah. Oh, he's over that. Well, thanks for watching, friends, and stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming at you.
Thanks.
If you like this video, hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And check out these videos. We think you might like them too.